What is as American as the 4th of July and an apple pie? American cheese, of course. You can make it your nacho dip with it or melt it onto your fresh-off-the-skillet grilled sandwich. American cheese is absolutely perfect in its simplicity and gooey goodness. But what exactly is it? And how do you make it? Step 1. Selecting the natural cheese and other ingredients. Let's say that you want to make some mac and cheese or a nacho dip, or maybe you're in the mood for a hot, crunchy grilled cheese sandwich. What do you need? Well, cheese. Technically speaking, American cheese is not exactly real cheese. It's actually a blend of different cheeses, including cheddar cheese, washed curd cheese, Colby cheese, and Grand Dollar cheese. So from a legal perspective, any cheese made from a blend or two or more is real. Cheeses can only be described as processed cheese or a cheese product. So the official name of American cheese is pasteurized processed cheese food. This means that unlike natural cheese, which is directly made from milk, American cheese is made from a bunch of other different cheese varieties, and this cheese blend shouldn't compromise less than 51% of the final product's weight. Now for the successful production of American cheese depends on the good quality and selection of natural cheeses. We can use one or more varieties of cheese or blends of cheeses with different degrees of maturation. The criteria for selection of natural cheese include flavor, texture, consistency, and level of acidity. When the cheeses have been selected, the products are removed from their packaging, de-rinded, cleaned, and ground before processing. This physical treatment of natural cheese facilities and easier melt ensures proper blending of the added ingredients and enhances better contact between emulsifying salts and cheese components. The other ingredients that are added to the pasteurized processed cheese include water, milk powder, cream, and hydrogenated milk fat, vegetable fat, whey proteins, vitamins, emulsifying agents, caseins, and starches, spices, and food coloring. When melted, the salts hold everything together and give you that wonderfully gooey pull, so choose the right raw materials to get that perfectly blend of creamy, salty, and gooey cheese is the key here. Only brands that meet this strict criteria can label themselves as American cheese. The cheese can have a mild or strong flavor, depending on the manufacturer preference. The color may range from white to light yellow or even orange with a very smooth texture. It's essential to add a variety of emulsifying salts like sodium chyrate and phosphates to ensure the viscosity, texture, pH balance, and binding of the water and fat content of the cheese. In fact, both spreadable, slice, and block type American cheeses will use similar ingredients. The difference lies in the proportions of the materials used and the manufacturing procedures, which may vary according to the end product. Now once we're done selecting the natural cheese and other ingredients, it is time to proceed to the most crucial step. Step 2. Formulation of a balanced mix. Where regular cheese making starts with milk, American cheese production actually starts with natural ready-made cheese. First, the cheese is washed and scraped. After that, it can either be chopped into pieces or mechanically grated into fine shreds and melted together at 165 degrees Fahrenheit. The main components of natural cheeses are fat, protein, minerals, sodium chloride, and moisture, so the formulation of balanced cheese blends is based on the proximity composition of the natural cheese used. After that, the cheese is melted in a scraped surface cooker, which blends the cheese with water, emulsifying agents, milk proteins, and other added ingredients. The fat level of the cream, butter, and anhydrous milk is standardized, and milk proteins are fortified at this stage. Water on condensate is added to the mixture from a direct steam injection during the heating stage. Typically, American cheese spreads contain 20 to 40% added water, while the block or sliced cheese contains less moisture, which is typically 2 to 25% added water. It is very important to keep emulsifying agents in mind in this stage. This is the stuff that will hold the cheese together and prevent it from separating during heating. Emulsifying salts like sodium citrate promote a series of psychochemical changes in the cheese blend and supplement the functional properties of the milk protein. Salts that will emulsify the fat and stabilize emulsion and pH level of the cheese, so make sure to blend them in really well if you want a desirable structure of the cheese after cooling. However, some precautionary adjustments to the balanced mix should be considered when using food ingredients such as meat, fish, or liquid additives like coloring material and flavoring agents. So this makes up our balanced mix: natural cheese, water, salts, and milk proteins. However, some manufacturers will choose to add miscellaneous additives to the blend to make it tastier and appealing to consumers. We can choose to add egg protein, wheat fiber, nuts, dried fruit, meat emulsion, mustard oil, or even mashed potato to the mixture and blend it all really well together to obtain a thick, creamy paste. Once all the ingredients have been blended into a smooth mixture, the next step is to heat it all to form a stable mass. Step 3. Heat treatment. In the third step, the balanced mixture is heated. We need to heat the blend because heating is required to pasteurize the product. Now, this is another critical step in the production of American cheese because the cooking time, cooking temperature, and the extent of mixing and blending, and the rate of cooling affect the final properties of the processed cheese. During its preparation, the cheese is heated for more than 30 seconds, at least at a temperature of 150 Fahrenheit. For this purpose, we'll use a batch cooker or a processed kettle. The important thing here is to ensure that we have a minimum filling temperature of 72 to ensure the proper pasteurization of that yummy cheese we all love. That's because high temperature processing conditions eliminate the looming threat of corrosive spores that can germinate and grow during the sheer life if the product is not refrigerated. So, heating provides additional security during the cheese production and prevents product spoilage. Now that we're done with mixing and heating the mixture, it is time for an optional step, homogenization. Step 4. Homogenization. Although the equipment used to manufacture pasteurized processed cheese products provides the homogenization effect on their own, further homogenization may be required to make the cheese smoother and more homogeneous. The high shear cookers used during the heat treatment produce an emulsion of the fat droplets in the continuous hydrated phase, while the modern continuous cookers are equipped with tangental steam injectors that are pretty good at adding the creaming effect in the American cheese. However, if the manufacturer desires to add more homogenization into the cheese, they install the device downstream of the cooker. In fact, we need to use an inline mixture or homogenizer for the processed cheese spreads to make them more creamy and smooth. Once the mixture has been thoroughly homogenized, it is allowed to cool down. While the spread products cool down more rapidly, the blocked or sliced products need time to cool more slowly. Cooling the cheese will give us the desired texture and consistency. After we are finished cooling the cheese, all that is left to do is pour the blend into molds to obtain the cheese slides, blocks, or spreads. That brings us to the very last step in this fascinating cheese making process. Step 6. Filling machines and packaging. Our last step is to shape the product how we want. Once all the ingredients have been combined into a smooth, homogeneous paste, it is time to add the finishing touch. The mixture is poured into large molds to solidify into sliceable bricks. These are the massive blocks of frame American cheeses that we see in the deli department. In other cases, the mixture is piped through a machine that churns out long, thin sheets of cheese. These sheets are further cooled down and hardened until they can be finely sliced and individually wrapped. So after we obtain the perfect slices, blocks, and spreads, we can use glass jars, metal tin cans, laminated aluminum foils, plastic tubes, and bottles for packaging our final product, the American cheese. And of course, now it's ready to be melted on top of your hamburger or omelet. Bon appetit! Click one of the 2 videos on your screen right now.